Good day, class. Let's discuss lesson 2 of unit 4. And this time, we talk about new and emerging literary genres. So make sure that you have your notebooks with you to jot down key discussions and questions as we go along this discussion. Now, for this topic, class, the main objectives is to define what new and emerging literary genres are and identify the different kinds of new and emerging literary genres. So similar to genre fiction, where we were able to talk about different themes, right, of fiction, ito naman, we are going to talk about how new and emerging literary genres are different from the traditional, right, literary genres that we have discussed, where this is more of the integration and innovation into the modern times and the different perspectives of the different creators of these genres. Now, what makes emerging literary genres worth reading? Sir, unsa di ay na emerging literary genres? These are genres, class, that are more on depicted according to the perspective of specific readers, more on the perspective of how they would like it to be viewed or how they would like it to be read. It does not conform to the classical notions, but instead it conforms to how modern one genre or one literary genre could become. Now, question, what makes emerging literary genres worth reading? Now, let's try to answer that as we go along with our discussion. Now, in this lesson, class, we are going to identify different vocabulary words that might become familiar or confusing to us sometimes, depending on how we were able to go across these words. So let's try to decode them one by one. First, we have outskirt. Outskirt is a noun which means border or section or areas that form the edge. Example, their office is in the outskirts of Manila. Second, sprawling. Sprawling is an adjective which means reaching over a wide or large area. Example, the old man lives in a beautiful house in this sprawling suburb. Third, menagerie. Menagerie is a noun which means a varied mixture. Example, the room is filled with a menagerie of old furniture items. Fourth, budgerigar. Budgerigar is a noun which means a small, light green and yellow bird that is kept as a pet. Example, we often see the strange lady feeding a budgerigar outside her home. And last is hedge. Hedge is a noun which means a boundary that is made of a thick row of shrubs or small trees. Example, he made sure to put a hedge around his property to protect it. Take note of these words and remember them because we will be encountering them as we go along our discussions. All right? Let's now begin. Here is a concept that I want you to take note. New and emerging literary genres are works written by authors that deviate from traditional writing methods. Often, these works are related to other genres. So 2 points. New and emerging literary genres do not conform and deviate from traditional writing methods, and these works are related to other genres. Take note of that. Now, let's talk one by one what these new and emerging literary genres are. First, we have fan fiction, also called fanfic. This is popular on social media for fans of shows, movies, and the like. Fan fiction got its name from its creators, which are the fans. Websites that feature fan fiction include the following: Wattpad, Fanfiction, Kotev, Kindle Words, and Archive of Our Own. Meaning to say, these are related or these are seen on social medias that are mostly giving us shows, movies, etc., novels, whatnot, but it is more on depicting, what are the versions of the fans. Because then again, from the fans' perspective of the show, the movie, the novel that they have watched and read, they have created these stories that are mostly inclined with their perspectives. Mo na nga na natay Wattpad. Pinakasikat sa to in the Philippines are Wattpad. Gani natay Wattpad series, that are being inclined to. Different stories, different plot, settings, characters, so on and so forth. Mao na siya ginatawag nga fan fiction. Magikan ang istorya sa iyang creators, which are the fans. Another, flash fiction. Flash fiction are stories or narratives that have approximately 1,000 words or fewer. This has minimal or complete lack of exposition, and that flash fiction uses deliberate, purposeful, and inventive language and rhythm. Abdon Bald Jr. is a famous flash fiction writer who won the 31st National Book Awards for his collection of flash fiction entitled Kislap. Third, metafiction, or fiction about a fiction. The author, the narrator, and the protagonist directly speaks to the reader, and the reader also plays a part in the story. Example is Umberto Eco's The Name of the Rose. Slipstream, or the fiction of strangeness. A non-realistic fiction no ganihan, non-realistic pag yun, which have elements of the surreal and the anti-reality. This crosses science fiction, fantasy, mainstream literary fiction, whose examples involve Kelly Link's Stranger Things Happen, Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere, and Haruki Murakami's The Wind Up Bird Chronicle. Meaning to say, Slipstream class is talking about all the strange things that an author could possibly think of. Mo na ginatawag siya non-realistic fiction. Fiction in the sense nga dili tinuod. It is not based on real-life events, persons, plot, setting, etc. Pero non-realistic siya because it goes beyond what we consider strange or weird. That is Slipstream. Now, here is an example from Justine Gardner, an excerpt from Sophie's World. And we all know and we all heard of Sophie's World. Taas ni siya nga novel, taas ni siya nga story, and this has been depicted into movie, some way, somehow, not pieces and parcels. So I want you to look into this particular excerpt, and then I want you to answer the guide questions that follow. Of course, we're going to talk about emerging literary genre that this excerpt belongs to. What do you think is the author's goal? And do you think that the excerpt affects you as a reader? So I want you to discuss all of that after reading that excerpt from Sophie's World by Justine Gardner. Now, if there are questions that arose during the discussion, make sure to jot them down so that we can cater and address them during our online discussions. Thank you for viewing this video and keep safe.